sons, be not dismayed. Come join with me, jovial play. Come booze and sing and lend your aid and help me with the chorus. Instead of spa, we'll drink down ale and pay the reckoning on the nail. No man for debt shall go to jail from Gary Owen in glory.
Welcome to the American Civil War Gaming Club's YouTube channel. This is part 3 of our introductory series to John Tiller Software's Civil War games. As a reminder, the American Civil War Gaming Club is a meeting place and gaming forum for all Civil War gaming enthusiasts. Our club supports numerous gaming series, but mainly revolves around John Tiller Software's Civil War campaigns. The link to both our club's homepage and the John Tiller Software store are in the description below. In our 2 previous parts, we used the Battlefield of Shiloh to discuss both the 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional maps and labels, along with how to view your organizations and your strengths. For part 3, we have shifted to Pennsylvania and the Battle of Gettysburg. Here, we will discuss how to view your reinforcements through the scheduled dialog box, and we will discuss probabilities and unknowns when it comes to arrival times and locations. Lastly, we will talk about what it means when units are fixed on the map and how to view your release dialog to know when they will become available. Should you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. For now, let's head to Gettysburg, where Buford's cavalrymen and Heath's infantrymen are about to open the climactic battle of the war. As you can see on the map, the Federal cavalry is here blocking the Chambersburg Pike, while the Confederate infantry is marching to engage them. By clicking here, you can see in the unit information box that this is the 13th Alabama. Remember that you can right-click for more information. For instance, the 13th Alabama is part of Archer's Brigade, Heath's Division, 3rd Corps, Army of Northern Virginia. Now, coming up here to check the strength of the armies at Gettysburg, you can see that the Confederates have just 6,944 men, and the Federals 9,304. Obviously, the most important battle of the war was not fought by some 16,000 men. That then brings us nicely around to the topic of reinforcements. In many scenarios that you play, you will have reinforcements that will join the battle at some point. These reinforcements are listed under the Units drop-down menu under Scheduled. By clicking here, you will be able to bring up the Scheduled dialog box, which displays all of the reinforcements scheduled to arrive during the battle. As you can see, the information is broken down into multiple parts. Let us use the arrival of Union Brigadier General J.C. Robinson as an example. You can see here that his arrival time is listed first as 8:20 a.m., July 1st, 1863. Listed next is the probability with which he will arrive on time. In this particular scenario, and almost all historically based ones, the arrival probabilities are set to 100% to match the historical arrival upon the scene of battle. Next, we have his arrival location on the map. If you remember the XY chart from part 1, you will see the coordinates listed here as his arrival location. By clicking on this line and highlighting it, the map jumps automatically to hex 26161 to show you the location. If we were to click on Union Major General Schurz here, the map would jump to his arrival location at 106-161. But let us click back on Robinson once more. Following his name, you will see an ellipsis, signifying that there are more units arriving at that time and place than just the general himself. To see this list, you can double-click on the highlighted line, and a new window will appear. As you can see, Robinson is arriving with 2 infantry brigades of his division, that of Paul with 5 regiments, and Baxter with 6 more. I do wish the game gave you the number of men arriving in each unit, but it does not. It merely tells you who is arriving. Let's click OK here and then discuss probable arrival times more. To do so, I'm going to bring up an arrival list where the probabilities are not set in stone. Poof! As you can see here, the probable arrival times are no longer 100%. Instead, they are percentages less than that. What that means is that the unit has an arrival time based on the probability you see here. The chances of them arriving exactly on time are then left to chance. Should they not arrive on time, you will see an asterisk next to their line, meaning that they have been delayed. The reinforcements will continue to be delayed until they beat the odds and the scenario finally brings them onto the map. Probable arrival times are meant to increase the difficulty level and the fog of war of certain scenarios. Now, let's get rid of this schedule dialog and go back to the game's actual schedule dialog. There we go. As you can see here, all of the reinforcements for both sides are listed. In an actual scenario against a human opponent, the fog of war will only allow you to see your own arrival schedule. Let's take a look at how that would be shown. As you can see, only the Confederate reinforcements are now listed in this dialog. The probability is also hidden from view. To be honest, this bugs me. It is an attempt to increase the fog of war in the game, but here's a pro tip for you. If you simply open the game and do a single-player game against yourself, you can see all the probabilities much as we are doing right here. You should never play a game without knowing this information, especially if you are playing against a veteran of the club who probably has the times and locations of arrivals memorized. For now, though, let's go ahead and close this window. Once your reinforcements arrive, you will be notified of it at the start of your turn in the command report for your side. Here is one command report showing you that reinforcements have arrived. How do you bring reinforcements onto the map? To do that, you would come up here to Units, and then click on Arrived. It will then show you which units are available to join the battle. Just double-click here on the unit or highlight it, and click OK, and the unit will enter the map as you see here. You may be wondering what would happen if the enemy knew your arrival locations and times. Couldn't they just set up an ambush and wait for you? Let's go to an entry point and talk about it. Here we are at entry hex 014, where the bulk of the Confederate reinforcements arrive. Each arrival point on the map has something called a halo rule. Basically, it is a 5-hex perimeter around each entry location of yours on the map. Should the enemy occupy one of these hexes within the halo at the same moment you enter the map, they will be automatically routed to allow you to safely arrive. The enemy could still set up 6 hexes away though, so you do need to be aware of your entry locations and work to keep them clear from enemy activity. Should the enemy occupy the same exact hex, 014, that your men enter on, they will be automatically removed from the board. The enemy's troops, that is. Your men will always be allowed to enter the map safely within that halo. Now let's click on the overhead map and take a look at the battlefield. Here we can see Buford's cavalrymen, while way down to the south, we can see the men of Reynolds' 1st Corps still encamped. We will click down there to view them. Here we can find the famous Iron Brigade of the 1st Corps. As you see, the men here are fixed in place. A fixed unit is unable to move from the hex they currently occupy. The purpose of fixing a unit in place is, most often, to keep the units in their current positions until the historical time which they were actually ordered to move. Units that are fixed have a 5-hex halo around them, same as the arriving units do, which will automatically release them if an enemy unit moves too close to them. Further, any enemy unit firing on them will also free that unit immediately. While in a fixed position, a unit may change formation or build breastworks, but no matter what, they cannot leave that hex. The obvious question is, how do I know when my fixed units will become available to move? To find the answer to that, you need to come back up here to the Units drop-down menu and click on Releases. Doing so will bring up a release dialog that looks extremely similar to the scheduled dialog. Once more, the times and probabilities of a release are listed, or hidden if you are playing a human opponent, and the name of the unit is listed last. By clicking on a release, it will center the map on their location for quick reference. Once released, the units are free to move as normal. Much like arriving units may be delayed, the same is true for units being released. They may have less than a 100% chance of being released, and you may have to wait for them to become available. Once available, you will get a notification at the start of your turn in the command report. Closing that dialog box, you may wonder, are any of Reynolds' troops free to move? You can click around to find out, or, much more simply, come up here to the toolbar and click on the Fixed Units symbol. This will highlight all of the fixed units currently on the map. As you can see, all of Reynolds' men on the map are fixed at the start of the battle. To turn this feature back off, just click on the Fixed Units symbol again. That concludes Part 3 of the American Civil War Gaming Club's Introduction to John Tiller Software's Civil War series. I hope by this point you understand how the reinforcements and schedule dialog work, along with probabilities, and how fixed units are released during the game. In Part 4, we will head back west to Tennessee, where we will end up at Fort Donelson along the Cumberland River. There, we will begin to discuss the basics of unit movement and what movement points are exactly. Be sure to give us a like on here and subscribe to the American Civil War Gaming Club's YouTube channel to be notified of future updates. Thanks for watching, and I will see you again here soon.